If you're not searching right here for what to value and treasure, you are on the way to ruin. In this video, we're going to show you why. You have to really know what to value and what to treasure. This world is trying to bombard all of us with so many things, and most of them are material in nature, they're romantic, their body image, all this stuff that can lead us into ruin. So what I want you to do is clear your mind with me, and let's start with this process. Is your mind clear? All the stuff that the world is trying to program into you about what you should value and treasure, clear it out. Start from a clean slate, and here we go. God created everything. That's where I want you to go. So if God created everything, He created everything for love, for abundance, for good. He created this beautiful world for us to be able to enjoy it. I live out here in the mountains. It's beautiful. You may live by water, wherever it is. God created everything, and He had an amazing plan. That's where this all started. So if you want to treasure, if you want to believe in anything, start there. Just start there. If you're skeptical, or if you're like, I'm not a God person, I don't understand what this is, just go with me here, just for the sake of this video. Just go through this process. Start with God created everything. God is love, beauty, created it for abundance. He created us to enjoy it, to marvel in what He created and honor Him and thank Him for what He created. If you start there, you can't help but just feel like, wow, okay. So the genesis of all of this was for good, for love. Value that, treasure that. You were created that way. I was created that way. That is who we are. That is the essence of who you are. That's the essence of who I am. So, boy, think about that. Get your mind set in that area. The next point is He created us, and then we know, some of you may know the story of sin and Adam and Eve and all that. Some of you may not. Doesn't really matter. Basically, what happened was sin came into the world because Adam and Eve, they messed up and they did one thing. God said, don't do this. They did it. Okay, and they invited sin into the world. And sin is all the stuff that the world tries to pile on us. I. It's all about me. Do the best you can. It's a dog-eat-dog world. Go out there and get what you can get. It's all about you making yourself the best. It's self-actualization. It's manifesting my best, blah, 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 blah. That is what the world is teaching, and that's sin. That is sin. Relying on ourselves, thinking that we are God. I am God, and I can do whatever I want as long as I don't harm somebody. Very dangerous right there. And it takes us away from community. It takes us away from our true being. It takes us away from loving and serving others, which is the way we were created in the first place. All this was happening way back when Adam and Eve committed the first sin. And all of a sudden they're like, whoa, we're naked, we got to put on clothes. Before that, they didn't worry about that. I can go down a whole rabbit hole on that, but I won't. On our journey, here's what happened. We were created in love, everything's good. But now through Adam and Eve, sin came into the world, and sin is all about me, desires of the flesh. Here's where God came back, because He loves us so much, and He saw what was going on with people. All the hurt and pain, suffering and disease and all that stuff started with each of their thoughts. Their thinking, their hearts were hardened, their thoughts. So He sent His Son. He loved us so much, He sent His Son, Jesus, to die on a cross, to take our sin away, basically. Isn't that amazing? So we could be reunited with His Father, with the Father, with God. And that's the opportunity we have. So even if you're not a God person, just think about that. You in your life, because this is me. Most of my life, I didn't have God in my life at all. And I was committing sin, didn't even know it was sin. I was doing what the world taught me to do. And I kind of felt like sometimes when I do certain things, this doesn't seem right, but it's what everybody does. So I justified. But God was always working in my heart. And then at 54 years old, He finally showed up. And it was just amazing. And now that I understand the power of that surrender, because it lifted so much off of me, you probably have your own story. If you don't, it's a wonderful place to be. If you're caught in desires of the flesh, if you're chasing money, if you're chasing relationships, if you're chasing sports, whatever it is, if there's something that's kind of out of whack in your life, if you're addicted, the human condition is we're all addicted beings. We get addicted to things. If any of your addictions, you can have good addictions, you can have bad addictions. If any of your addictions are leading you off the path and leading into a life that isn't back to the first point, beautiful, abundant, joyful, all those things, then maybe there's an opportunity for you, just like there was for me after 54 years. The next point is, so what do we value? What do we treasure? Well, listen, Jesus, when he came, he showed us how to live and what to value and treasure. So just study what Jesus taught. He was the most amazing teacher. So if you study those things, I believe, are gonna find the treasure. And it's an ongoing process. It just never stops. I'm gonna be doing it the rest of my life, and it just is beautiful. Because his teaching, you always hear obedience. I heard obedience. I'm like, oh, it's a bunch of rules in the Bible. No, it's not obedience because they're rules, meant to put you in check. It's obedience because it's going to lead to abundant life if you do these things. Obey his commands, to love each other. I mean, there's so many good ones. I'm not even going to go into that today. But that's where you find, in your search for what to value and treasure, that's where you find it, in Jesus' teachings. He died then after he did teach us, and people recorded his teachings in the Bible. So he died so we could be reunited with God. Isn't that beautiful? That's the most amazing love story. So if you want to start with one thing to value and treasure, it's Jesus. And to look at, man, how can I learn more about Jesus? How can I develop a relationship with Jesus? How can I share? How can I be around people who want to go out there and represent Jesus and God? Be Jesus and God. Be the light for people in this dark world. I don't know where you're at on the spectrum of you're in a dark place or you're in a light place or anywhere in between. That's what we're all called to do. In community is to work together, to be the light. And the more of us that are on this journey together that have seen the light and thought, yeah, just like me, burdens lifted off, Jesus is the way to go. Yeah, it's amazing. And we've got work to do. The harvest is plenty and the workers are few. There's a lot of people out there that are walking around. You can see it in their face. They're walking around not in a good place. They're in a hurry, or they're frazzled, or they're distracted, or they're anxious. All those things. That was not God's design, is not God's design. So let's value what Jesus taught. So it's in your court now. Ball is in our court. We have free will. If you've watched this video to this point, yay, you can now dismiss me. You can cancel me if it's cancel culture. Say, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Or you can embrace it. We have free will. That's the beauty of it. Hopefully this video gave you some perspective. If you are searching for what to value and treasure, here's one perspective that I think will yield amazing results. Subscribe with the notification bell to receive regular updates. If you found this video helpful, hit that like button to see more like it. Comment down below. This can be with questions or answers to a question you ask. And we'll see you next time on this amazing journey from isolation to community, where the next step beyond is freedom.